Let me now review the various HTML versions and flavors and other related technologies. HTML has been in continuous evolution since it was introduced to the Internet in the early 1990s. Some features were introduced in specifications, others were introduced in software releases. In some respects, implementations and author practices have converged with each other and with specifications and standards, but in other ways they have continued to diverge. The World Wide Web Consortium, abbreviated W3C, I have the website open here, was founded in 1994 by Tim Berners-Lee, the creator of HTML. It's the main international standards organization for the World Wide Web. It's an international community that has taken as its purpose and goal to ensure the long-term growth of the web. W3C was created to ensure compatibility and agreement among industry members in the adoption of new web standards. Prior to its creation, incompatible versions of HTML were offered by different vendors, increasing the potential for inconsistency between web pages. The consortium was created to get all those vendors to agree on a set of core principles and components which would be supported by everybody. The dominant HTML version at the time of this recording was HTML4, which became a W3C recommendation back in 1997, as you can see from my timeline. While it continued to serve as a rough guide to many of the core features of HTML, HTML 4.0 does not really provide enough information to build implementations that interoperate with each other, and more importantly, with a lot of the content that is now being deployed on the web. Same goes for XHTML version 1, which defines an XML serialization of HTML4, and DOM or DOM level 2 HTML, which defines JavaScript APIs for both HTML and XHTML. In this tutorial, you'll actually be learning a lot of XHTML, which stands for Extensible Hypertext Markup Language, which is a more structured way of writing HTML. The latest spec, HTML5, will eventually replace all of these documents. The HTML5 specification reflects an effort started way back in 2004, but was published as a working draft by W3C in January of 2008. HTML5 defines a single language called HTML5, which can be written in the HTML syntax and also in the XML syntax. It provides new and extremely well-defined structural elements, improves markup for documents, provides a powerful API that makes it easier to develop web applications, and provides easy and simple audio and video media embedding. As we move into the future, it's fully expected that the HTML5 spec will slowly replace the current HTML4 specification. Although its syntax closely resembles that of SGML, which I'll talk about in a moment, HTML5 abandoned any attempt to be an SGML application and has explicitly defined its own HTML serialization, in addition to an alternative XML-based XHTML5 serialization. SGML is short for Standard Generalized Markup Language. It's a system for organizing and tagging elements of a document that was developed in 1986 and so predates HTML. SGML itself does not specify any particular formatting, rather it specifies the rules for tagging elements. These tags can then be interpreted to format elements in different ways. HTML is one way of defining and interpreting tags according to SGML rules, so you can say that HTML is a type of SGML. XML, which you've no doubt heard of, is another type of SGML and stands for Extensible Markup Language. It's another set of rules for encoding documents electronically. It's defined in the XML 1.0 specification, produced also by W3C. XML is a markup language, much like HTML. It was designed to carry data, not to display data. Its tags are not predefined. You must define your own XML tags. And also XML is designed to be self-descriptive. Because this can get a little bit confusing, let me define more differences between XML and HTML. XML is not a replacement for HTML. XML and HTML were designed with different goals. XML was designed to transport and store data with a focus on what the data is. HTML was designed to display data with a focus on how the data looks. So HTML is about displaying information, while XML is all about carrying information. At the time of this recording, hundreds of XML-based languages had been developed, including RSS, which stands for Real Simple Syndication, Atom, SOAP, and also XHTML. XML-based formats have become the default for most Office productivity tools, including Microsoft Office, Office OpenXML, OpenOffice.org and its Open Document, as well as Apple's iWork. Now, XHTML is a separate language. It began as a reformulation of HTML 4.01 using XML 1.0. XHTML stands for Extensible Hypertext Markup Language. It's almost identical to HTML 4.01. However, it's stricter and a cleaner version of HTML. XHTML is HTML defined as an XML application, and all modern browsers support XHTML. So as I mentioned previously, this is the version of HTML we'll actually be learning in this tutorial. XHTML was published as a W3C recommendation in January of 2000 and later was revised and republished on August 1st, 2002. XHTML 1.1 was published as a W3C recommendation in May of 2001. There will be no XHTML 2.0 standard. The XHTML2 group will stop work by the end of 2009. Instead, XHTML5, which is an update to XHTML 1.x, is being defined alongside HTML5 and is also in the HTML5 draft. Let me now move on to the next movie and give you some more details about exactly what HTML5 is and how it's destined to be the new standard to replace HTML4.